Welcome to the Keeping It Positive podcast, presented by the Positive Inception, helping people become more positive and trying to make the world a better place, one episode at a time. And now here's your host, Ryan Benoit.
Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of the Keeping It Positive podcast. This week's guest, Mike Taylor, such a special human being, not only in my life, but for so many people. We got to meet each other through a days with sports administration. He was a year older than me in school, but he always helped me. He was one of my tutors, and we became really, really good friends. He always had my back. He was always there, and we developed a friendship I think that will last a lifetime. And I don't think I know. And he's a guy I look up to a tremendous amount, one of my biggest role models. And it was a no-brainer to try to have him on the podcast. And I'm so gracious and fortunate that he agreed to do so. And it was awesome to be able to catch up a little bit and share a little bit about his story, his successes, not only in the business world, but also in his in his personal life as well. And I couldn't be happier for him and the family he's growing with his wonderful wife, Brittany. She's truly amazing as well. And in this episode, we talk a little bit about growing up in a small town in Peterborough and university life. We talk a little bit about business and the sales industry. He worked his way up and now he's a director for the company he works for, ADP. And he's a director of major accounts, and I couldn't be happier for him. He took on a big leadership role, and we talk a little bit about that, some advice in regards to leadership in the business world and life in general, and talk a little bit about sports and everything in between. So I think this is a really great episode. It's an episode that I really enjoyed recording and chatting it up with one of my dearest friends, and Mike Taylor. You're the man, and I hope everyone enjoys this episode, and I think people will really see the type of amazing human being you are listening to this. And it was truly awesome. Such an incredible experience, as all these episodes are, but episode number 29 with the one and only amazing Mike Taylor. I can't thank you enough for agreeing to do this and being able to catch up, and you being a big pillar in my life, I would say. From our university days, you've helped me so much, and being able to have a friendship with you, and you having you being in my life for when we met, and being able to help me with school, and just being a role model and being the character that you are. I don't think I'd be who I am without you. And I wrote that when I was doing the introduction for, like, when I posted about, like, you were gonna be a guest. I said I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without you. And you are such a great person to me, and to everyone that meets you. And I think doing this podcast with you and kind of sharing your story a little bit and giving advice, whether it's life in general or in the sales industry, I think it's going to be really beneficial. And I'm just grateful and honored to be able to chat it up with you for an hour and catch up and hear about all the amazing things you're doing. And you deserve all the success in the world, because you're one of the best persons I know, and not only me that kind of knows it, but everyone that knows you. So thank you so much for taking the time, and this is going to be truly special.
Yeah, hey, listen, man, I appreciate it. I think it's an honor and a privilege for me, more so than for you, but I love to see all the stuff you're doing with the brand and now developing a podcast. But it goes both ways, right? Like, I'm super fortunate to have the chance to meet you in university and develop a relationship. And it's interesting, right? We'll go 4 or 5 months sometimes without talking, and then we bring up a conversation. It feels like we just spoke the day before, right? So super appreciative for the opportunity, man.
And I think that's what true friends are like, right? Like, you might not see each other for a long time, but when you do, it's like you don't skip a beat, and just like being around you, like, even if it's virtual, like it makes me feel like my heart is so full, right? And hearing Tucker in the background and having breakfast, and you, like, having a new role in your life, being a dad, and growing your life with Britt, and another one on the way, which is truly exciting. Like, yeah, I think you being a role model and a father, I think, bring new life into this world, so to say. It truly, I think it makes a better place, because you and Britt are such great people, and making more great people, which is pretty amazing, and it makes me really happy, and it makes me really proud to know you. And when when kind of starting like the podcast, I, I know I never know how to really start it, but I always like thought about like when we met in university. But before that, you grew up in Peterborough, and I was always, when I when I first met you, everyone used to talk about the Peterborough boys all the time, and you guys lived together, and grew up together, played hockey together, and I just wanted to kind of maybe start about that, like the starting of everything, and growing up in a small town. I think Peterborough is very, very similar to Sudbury, right? Like a blue collar town, honest, good hearted, working people, and I think a lot of qualities within you, like working hard, and being a good person, and being loyal and humble. And I think those are all kind of small town qualities that I think that everyone growing up in a small town like gets a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll probably get into it, but a pretty unique story about how so many of us from Peterborough went up to Sudbury, lived in the same house. A lot of us are back in Peterborough now, and still, best of friends
Yeah.
to this day, which is pretty special. But yeah, it's certainly, it's unique growing up in a smaller town, close enough to the GTA, I would say, but big enough city that it has everything you need. But very fortunate to meet some really, really incredible people along my journey. Most of that came through sports, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. But,
Mm.
I'm very fortunate to have a group of friends and family that, honest lifestyle in a way that we didn't come from, a ton, but have worked our way to get to the point where, we've met the metrics for being successful for what we think is successful. Right. So it's important to have good people around you that, care about friends, care about family. I've been very fortunate to have people that have been in very successful roles, which helps, helps me push them a little bit as well. But, I love Peterborough. I always say all the time, I'd have a really, really difficult time leaving. There's just so many great people here. And, we got the Peterborough Petes as the sports teams, and, the minor hockey is the organization I kind of grew up in. And then we also have, we got every other sport out here too. We got football, we got baseball, we got volleyball. It's such a great, I don't want to say small town, because I think we're up to almost 85,000 people, but it's such a tremendous place to grow up. And I'm super excited to raise kids here as well, because I know it's got everything that we need.
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's not too small, but it's not too big. But there's a couple of things that you mentioned that I think that I wanted to elaborate on a little bit. When you said you define like your own metrics of success, and I think that's super important, because I think being successful, it's a different definition for everyone, right? And everyone has their own success in their own way. Like for me, defining success might be different than someone else, right? And I think and I think just being as happy as possible and doing what you love to do. For me, I think that's successful. And seeing my friends and family being able to do what they want to do and be happy as well, that's a form of success for me. And something else that you mentioned that I think is really relatable to myself and a lot of other people is having friends, being able to be around friends and push each other indirectly to be better, right? And seeing your friends have success professionally and personally, it motivates you to try to do your best too, right? And try to to all win together, because it's I think that's what life's all about, trying to win together, not by yourself, and surrounding yourself with the right people to to be able to win at life, so to say. And it's a lot funner sharing experiences with the people that you love, and being able to do that. When I think about a little bit about my story, like being able to grow a business, but having so many family and friends being able to share this with me, I think it makes it all worth it. That's what it's all about, right? And it's not just about me; it's about the whole everyone around me, and having a good team atmosphere to be able to share. And be able to be as successful as I want to be. And when we talk about friends, it's all about lifting each other up, right? And you talked a little bit about growing up playing hockey and stuff like that. And I think life and sports are so synonymous because you learn so much about life through sport, like working hard and teamwork and sportsmanship and winning and losing and the ups and downs and adversity. And maybe I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that growing up and now being in business and taking the SPAD program, but going through the hockey, minor hockey at Peterborough and learning about all the things I kind of rambled on about, but about leadership too, and how that has helped you in your business, in your business life so far.
Yeah, and I think that there's such a direct correlation, especially in my world, in the sales world, between an athletic background in some capacity and coming into the sales and business world. And, growing up playing a team sport like hockey, right, at a relatively high level. I didn't make it quite as far as I probably should have or wanted to, but, you really do learn how to win, both as an individual and as a teammate. But more importantly, like you learn how to lose, right? Which is super important in both in life and in business. And it's interesting. I mentioned those, 5 or 6 guys that we went up to Peterborough with. Like all of them were from the hockey team, whether they played or whether they were just around it. I mean, Alex Fuller, I'll give him a little plug here. He was our water boy for a bit because unfortunately he couldn't skate, but it was lots of fun to have him around for a while. But it's just, it really encapsulates what it's like to be a leader, what it's like to be a teammate. And, when you get an opportunity to play sports at a relatively high level where it does mean something, right? That's where you can also take those other little intangibles like preparation, right? Practice, the hard work, all of that stuff comes into life. And so I think it's, as much as we had a lot of fun doing it along the way, there's such tangible takeaways that you can get out of sports that really, really does help you thrive in life and business.
Oh, for sure. And I can only picture Paul's like he's so tall and lanky. It'd be funny to see him on skates, but I think he's so determined. I think if he puts his mind to it, like he always does with everything he does in life, I'm sure he'd be able to do it. But it'd be a funny scene for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear Tucker in the background?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Then.
1 sec. Maybe I'll shut this over. Right?
That's,
Yeah, he's all fired up to get to daycare.
but even like I remember you telling me like because Adam Johnson he took this bad program first and that's how you heard about it, right? Because he went and then you guys did a victory lap and then you decided to come to Sudbury. But I wanted to talk a little bit about like the SPAD program at Laurentian University because that's when we first met, right? And I think it's something special that that we share together and that's where our friendship kind of started. But like how did your time in the SPAD program like help you prepare for the career path you've taken on now?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a funny story because I remember it has a lot to do with Adam Johnson because he was heading off to university a year ahead of me, right? He was just doing grade 12. I wanted to go back and play a few more high school sports and sort of space out those academic credits that you need to get into university. Excuse me. I remember him telling me, he's like, "Hey, I'm looking at this sports admin program up in Sudbury at Laurentian." I was like, I was like, "I don't care what you do. Like, I'm going to take that program. Like, that's where I want to be." I knew I wanted to be in business for sure. I think, the world we live in, even if it's healthcare, whatever the industry is, like we need business people, right? We need people that understand how to grow the business, how to retain people, how to hire the right people. Like, I think that's such an important piece to every single industry. But Adam Johnson went in year 1, and I think that was where we started sort of recruiting and chatting together with other friends from Peterborough, being like, "Hey, like, are we all going to go up there?" And ironically, like I mentioned probably 10 minutes ago, I think there was 6 or 7 of us from Peterborough that all went up together in the same year, took the same program, ended up living in the same house together. So I mean, there's 2 ways you can look at it. I mean, did we get the full university experience where you go off and meet a ton of new people? Maybe not quite the same because we had such a tight knit group. But it was super, super fun to go with a group that, we knew and had established from Peterborough. And I think I want to say 6 of the 7 guys are, like I said, back here in Peterborough. We're all working in business in some capacity, and we're all still really good friends. So, but specifically about the program, knowing I wanted to be in business and obviously being a sports person growing up, it was pretty attractive knowing that you get that 3rd year, 4th year internship. You get to work on a project where you actually go to present to sports teams. I love the practical part of sports admin. And, the first couple of years, it's a lot of in-class settings and a lot of assignments and things like that. But the further you progress in the program, they really do teach you how to present, right? How to be present. And, I think back to the professors like Eastman and Tom Blake and all these guys that, really prepare you for the real world, which is not reading textbooks and then jotting down multiple choice answers. It's like getting up in front of people, speaking, learning how to articulate things. And I think that's ultimately what naturally paved the path for a lot of us to get into sales too, was, business is one thing, but sales is another super impactful piece of business that needs to be there. And that's really, really grateful for that opportunity, because I know there's a lot of larger universities that potentially are more so just, a number in the system, where Laurentian had that smaller feel. And specifically with the SPAD program, only 50 or 60 people in the class, it really allowed you to be, a person, get recognized and learn and hone in some new skills. So super grateful for my time in Sudbury. I wish some of it was over the summer, because when you're going away to university, it's pretty much just 6 feet of snow up there. But very, very grateful for my time. And of course, I got to meet yourself, which is obviously had a huge impact on my life as well.
Thank you, buddy. And the feeling is definitely mutual. And I wanted to kind of touch on the guys that you came up with. And you said, like, you didn't have a typical maybe university experience because you guys all came together. But I think that's the most special thing. Like, you guys created a bond that's even stronger, and you guys are all best friends. Like, you guys grew up together, played hockey, but you guys were able to go to university together. And university, that's when you think you're an adult, but you're not really an adult. You're still growing, and you're still learning, and you're still trying to, like, be comfortable in your own skin. And being able to do that with all those guys living together and creating a brotherhood kind of thing, like friends, best friends that are going to last forever. And now seeing you guys all, like, being able to do what you guys are doing, having kids, and now your kids are going to be able to grow up together, which is pretty cool. And I think but you guys were also so personable that you were friends with everyone as well. So I think you kind of had the best of both worlds, which was pretty special.
Yeah, I think it came easy to us. I think we sort of had the Peterborough boys posse there, that we could meet everybody together, so you didn't feel like you were going into it alone, which was awesome. But yeah, obviously just a very special bond with that group, and feel very fortunate to have the chance to still get to see them on a regular basis now, because they're a great group of people for sure.
I'm jealous because I miss those guys too. But
I know we got to get back together with everybody.
Yeah, get a little reunion. You also mentioned sales class with Tom Blake and Eastman and all that stuff, and now you're doing a career in sales, right? Like, when you were in university, you would be working a little bit with the meat company. I forget what it was, but you were doing sales with them, and your whole career so far has been with sales. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about your career with ADP too, and your journey with them, and you're being able to be like, you've been able to work your way up. But I guess what one of my questions would be, like, what attracted you to sales, and what keeps you passionate about it today?
Yeah, and it's a great question, and I think it probably starts a lot longer ago than I'd like to admit. But when I started, you mentioned the meat company. It was called Shop East Foods, and it started as just a little part-time job. I think it was in grade 9 or 10, just to get a little bit extra cash. And it's very, very small business, but eventually now getting my way into the sales side of that business. And I think there's a couple things with sales in general that people typically get attracted to, and it's the freedom to run your own business, right? You have a lot of autonomy as a salesperson or a sales leader, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the financial piece of, the more you put into it, typically the more you'll get out of it, right? And I saw that pretty early often in my Shoppies Foods days, and then actually followed in Alex Fuller's footsteps, moving over to Cintas when he left. And that was a really a tremendous experience where, probably not somewhere I knew I was going to stay for forever, but really grounded me in what like the true salesperson tactics and skills are. They have a tremendous training program over there. It's very fast paced, a lot of transaction sales, which I think everybody who wants to get into sales needs to get into early in their career. Again, to bring it back to learning how to winning and lose so quickly. So that was great. Obviously, had a tremendous time there. Very, very grateful for my time at Cintas. And then 4 years ago, was approached by ADP to come in and be a sales manager for one of their mid-market major accounts teams. So started there, was awesome. Had a chance to come in and sort of rebuild my team and bring in some people that I knew could be impactful and sort of set the pace for my side of the business. And was fortunate that I was able to work with a few people in my previous career that were also looking for a change in their life, and was able to, I don't like to use the term poach, but that's pretty much what it was, but bring some people over that I knew how to win and knew how to work hard. So had some really good success in my first couple years there with a couple President's Clubs. And, the most impactful thing for me was bringing in these new folks and seeing them hit President's Club and win all these awards and accolades pretty early. And then eventually just moved into, about 5 months ago, into a director of sales role. So that's it's been a big jump, but it's been a really fun jump where I now have 4 sales managers under me and then 33 sales reps across Ontario and Eastern Canada. So yeah,
The big dog.
yeah, I wouldn't say that yet, but we're working towards it. But no, I'm super grateful for my time at ADP. They give us a lot of autonomy. I mean, the pressure's there to grow. We are we're a Fortune 500 business that the expectation is there that we have to grow every year.
Yeah.
But that's what business is all about, man. So with that pressure, it gives us an opportunity to, hopefully have the financial freedom we want when we're older, as long as we're performing. But it's more impactful to bring in people into the business and see them sort of take off, right? That's the super fun part for me.
They say pressure creates diamonds. And I was going to mention this after, but I actually have it on my phone because I took a picture of it this morning before leaving. One Christmas, you gave me a card, and I still have it on my wall. And there was one quote that when you said the pressure is a diamond that that strengthens other stones, and then it reminded me of that quote because they always say pressure creates diamonds, right? And it made me think of that quote, and I wanted to mention I have it on my wall at my desk at home, so I always, every day when I'm working, I always see that. I always think of you, which is pretty.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I honestly, I kind of forgot about that card. I'm glad you still have it.
Yeah, it says you put three different quotes in it. One, and then another one is a man's best success is after their disappointments. I know, and at that time, I was having a hard time with school, and those kind of quotes, like like Tails always has my back, and he's always there for me, and those are just reminders that keep going, no matter how hard times are going and different things like that. And I was going to mention it afterwards, but that pressure, when you said pressure, it made me think of that, and I thought it was relatable to those things. So I'm glad that I mentioned it, but so I just want you to know that I still have that card. I know it's something random, but kind of off topic, but
No, I love it. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we had such a great time. Oh, do you want to meet the little guy? Sorry, I know we're recording, but
yeah, for sure. Is Britt there too?
Yeah, Britt's here too. Oh, you got all your toys.
Hey, Tucker.
Oh, he can't hear you because I've got my headphones in. But can you say hi?
Hi, bud.
Can you say hi to Ryan?
Hello.
He's just heading out the day. It's probably weird for him because he can't hear, but
Yeah, that's all
put a
right.
headphone in.
Hey,
No,
Ryan.
Okay, how are you?
she can't hear you. He's asking, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
She's doing good. You probably can't hear you.
No. Tell him it's nice to see him.
Yeah, she says it's nice to see you.
Come on, bud, we gotta go.
But yeah, man, like I love that you kept that card. I think that's so cool. But it's true, right? If you think of all the people, and I mean, there's a million like motivational speakers and stuff like that out there, like millions of them. And if you think of the people that are super, super successful, there's very few of them that didn't have some tremendous hardship in their life at some point, right? Whether it's through sports or their personal life, their career. And like, I do honestly believe that the people that can sort of rise up afterward and get through all that adversity and come out better on the other side, like that's where the success is made, right? I think it's so important to have those challenges. And it's another part that I'm sure we'll talk about later in the podcast, but like, you got to fail early, right? And you got to learn how to lose pretty early. So if you don't, it's that much harder when you're failing later in life. So I'm glad you kept that card. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna frame it in. I think I'm gonna frame it in a new house and put it somewhere for sure.
I love it. That's awesome, man.
But I know we got kind of off track, but I think it was something important to mention. But I wanted to kind of go back a little bit about your career with ADP, and I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, like, for those who might not know what ADP is and what role it plays in business, like in Canada and beyond. Like, I wanted to kind of maybe talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, for sure. So we are a payroll and HR software company. At the root of it all, started as a payroll company, and we're a global company in over 160 countries. But there's so much more we do now, other than payroll. And what we like to call it, it's a human capital management system. So we have a lot of different sort of areas in the business that we can go to, but we deal with every single industry, every single market size, from one employee to hundreds of thousands of employees. And what we do is we provide the technology for people in payroll and HR and finance to basically have a platform for hiring their people all the way to retirement and everything in between. So whether it's succession planning, whether it's performance management, whether it's onboarding, whether it's recruitment, you name it, we provide the technology for them to use that. And the other piece that we provide, which is a really fast growing part of our market, is what we call the human resources outsourcing model, where we not only provide the technology, but we provide people as well in the form of consultants. Okay. That if you're a business and you want the technology to help, see you, buddy. Bye, Tucker. Have a good day, bud. We provide both the technology and the people, so that if they want to have, the technology to support their business and their infrastructure, we also provide the consultants to make sure that they're doing things the right way.
That's awesome.
See you, bud. Have a good day. Take care. Say hi to me. Bye.
Come on.
Go with Mom.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, buddy. So yeah, it's super fast paced. My organization, like my side of the organization, we're looking after what we call major account space, and I'm primarily in new business, and so we're looking for new clients to bring in from 50. We always measure everything by employee count size, not by revenue. So we work on organizations that have 50 employees up to 1,000 all across Canada.
They're pretty big companies, like 50 people, still a small business, but it's still a lot. And up to 1,000, that's like crazy.
Yeah, then you're into the enterprise space for sure.
That's so cool, and it gives you like a different, like a perspective too, and a different way to work with, because every business is different, right? And then if you have 50 people or 1,000 people, and being able to like not manipulate, but like change your approach with everything depending on the size of the business, that's something interesting to kind of to do and work towards. And I think I wanted to kind of ask you, as a director of sales, of major accounts now. Like, what does your typical day look like?
Yeah, so it's not as much client facing anymore. It used to be as a sales manager up until our fiscal year runs July 1 to June 30th. So as of June 30th, I moved into this role. And it's a lot more of strategy, I find, which I love. I love the strategy part of the business. It's a lot of hiring. It's a lot of understanding how we're going to grow, and I'm working with a lot of senior leaders on different things like market trends and data insights and things like that. I still get on a few client calls, which I do love, but that's mostly for my sales reps and my sales managers. But like a typical week, I'm probably interviewing 5 or 6 people. I'm always looking for good talent to bring into the organization, which is great. I'm doing a lot of internal selling. And what I mean by that is making sure that certain deals that we need to get across the line, if we need, some financial discounting or things like that, that I can go to our CFOs and make sure that it makes sense for both the top line and the bottom line of the business. So there's a lot of internal selling there. And then there's just a ton of coaching and training. So one of my favorite things is, getting the opportunity to meet with my 33 reps every single Tuesday in person. And there's a lot of training that goes into it that's offered by our corporate side of the business. But we get a chance as sales directors and sales managers to put our own spin on it. So it's I'm working with people all day long, every day. Brittany and I were talking last night. She's like, I didn't get to talk to many people today. I'm like, well, I talked to about 75. So it's a very different life from her being a nurse for sure. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love it. And it's the challenge of high pressure sales and we need to grow, but also given that I have the autonomy to sort of build out my own group and build out my own team and make sure we have the right people in place, it really puts that good pressure on me that, I get a chance to show the work I can do and help 33 other individuals grow along the way.
And I think when you said you talked about 75, you talked 75 people like yesterday. You talked enough for the both of you.
I know, yeah, and then some, right? So yeah, no, it's good.
When you're talking about the 75 people and your 33 sales rep that you work with, it's like you're like a general manager building your own team, right? To be as successful as possible and to win and to meet your targets on a quarterly basis or a yearly basis. And I think that's like very fulfilling too, to be able to bring the right people, the right puzzle pieces, because and having everyone work together for one common goal, right? And it's kind of similar to a sports team too. You bring everyone together to try to have one common goal of winning a championship and having a successful season. But as a leader now that you're more in a leadership role, like what is your kind of leadership philosophy when it comes to like motivating or empowering your team?
Yeah, and it's becoming, and this is just my opinion, but it's becoming increasingly challenging in sort of the way the world has been shaped today, right? We're no longer, we're in a hybrid sort of format here at ADP where we're in the office 1 or 2 days a week and the rest we're either in the field or people are working from home, right? And so gone are the days, at least in my business, where you see every single person every single day. You can have a touch point with every person every single day in person. Which to me is tremendously impactful. I think the in-person side of things needs to always be there whenever you're leading a team, whether it's in sales, service, operations, whatever it may be. But we don't really have that same opportunity now with the hybrid world we work in. So I think there's two things and there's 2 books I've read over the course of my career, especially in leadership, that really stood out to me and stick with me. One is The Servant Leader, right? Which flips the landscape of what a leader should be looking at, from you having all this power and authority and things like that to really flipping the script to being like, hey, listen, I work for these people, right? Obviously there's expectations we need to set, like we can't miss on the non-negotiables, but like I need to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm helping these people win, right? And so when you flip the script and have that lens of like, hey, listen, I'm here to support you in any single way that you need, people really buy into that, and that builds trust almost immediately. The other piece I like to lead by is this book called Radical Candor. And this is something I struggled with very, very early. I think coming into leadership earlier in my career, probably 7 or 8 years ago at Cintas, I wanted everybody to like me, right? You want everybody to be your friend. and you don't want to ruffle any feathers. And at the end of the day, from a business perspective, it doesn't do anybody any good, right? And so radical candor really helped me to understand how to approach these difficult conversations and hold people accountable by telling them, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I've observed. This is the feedback I'm giving you. This is what the action items are that we need to potentially change. So that's allowed me to, in layman's terms, be very straight with my people of like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I think you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also allowed me to be like, hey, but I got your back, right? Like I'm here to support you in any single way that you need.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing, and I learned this from a leader back in my Centas days too, if you want to build trust, the main thing for building trust is if you say you're going to do something, you do it with 100% effort, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's saying you're going to do something for one of your reps, whether that's saying you're going to do something for yourself, the moment you say you're going to do something and either forget to do it or just don't do it to your full capability, that's when the trust is broken. And as soon as that trust is broken, it's very, very difficult to lead some people. So yeah, I think there's so much that goes into working with people and managing teams and leading teams. But I think at the end of the day, if you can provide a culture and an atmosphere where people have the opportunity to both win and have fun, that's when people don't leave. And I'll touch wood here. Like in my organization, like my side of the business, we've had one person self-select terminate in the last 2.5 years out of 33. So, it's a big component to that is we have the opportunity with some great products and great service to be able to sell and be able to win and make some good money. But it's also a culture where like we like to have fun and celebrate wins and make sure everybody's having a good time while doing it.
And I think like it's a testament to you, right? That being able to try to evolve and learn. And as a leader, you're probably learning just as much with them as they are with you, right? And it's a back and forth. It's a team effort. And I think that's what it's all about, trying to make everyone win, trying to be, if you try to make everyone successful and everyone happy and everyone having a good time, that's when the business is going to strive. When you do things with the right intentions and you do things properly, and I think that's when you'll all be kind of successful, right? And when you were with Cintas and you said you wanted everyone to like you, and I'm kind of like that too. Is I don't want to ruffle any feathers or I don't want to upset anyone, but I think the more you go through stuff, the more you realize like maybe it's good to be firm so people know what your expectations are, and maybe it's good to be a little more honest and say what you think, because people are not mind readers, or you don't know what people are thinking, and a simple conversation might and just to explain yourself a little bit more instead of people taking out of context. Like I think like when you're uncomfortable, when you're comfortable, that's when you don't grow, right? When you're uncomfortable and you get out of your comfort zone, that's when you're able to take strides and learn and grow and become that much better. Because I think if you would have stayed in your comfort zone and you would have stayed status quo, you wouldn't be able to be the director now, And I think being able to try to strive and be the best version of yourself, not only for yourself, not only for your family or friends, but also for the people that you work with too. And I think being able to learn on a day-to-day basis and being able to evolve, trying to be a better leader and just overall better person. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think translates into life, right? And friends and family and stuff. Like if we're not telling people, and again, you want to be careful with this, but like if you're not telling people where you think there's maybe an opportunity for them to grow or get better or providing them feedback, like we're not really helping each other, right? So I think there's a way to do it so that we're not trying to hurt people or anything. But I think that was a big key piece for me that I've really lived and died by with my leadership.
And I think being able to help people, no matter what it is, and sometimes you tell it how it is, but there's always a way to do something, right? And being able to be kind, but try to, there's always ways to approach things, and I think if you do things like I mentioned before, if you do things with the right intentions and you want the best for people, that's when the best will come for you, right? And you being in the sales industry for your whole career, so far. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about maybe like if some people, some youth or younger like the younger generation are listening and want to get into the sales industry. I wanted to kind of maybe talk a little bit about some advice that you would give, or maybe first off, so like yeah, some advice that you would give to someone that wants to start off as a sales rep, or maybe even yeah, working in the sales industry.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing outside of the norm of like, hey, you got to outwork everybody, you got to show up every day, ready to go, like that. That's all the non-negotiables that I think everybody would realize. I think for the people in sales that want to have a long-lasting career and you're just starting out, you got to find something, whether it's an organization, an industry, whatever it may be, where it's very fast-paced and it's super transactional.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is you can't jump into a sales role. If you jump into a sales role in one of my, senior positions where you're maybe only selling 5 or 6 deals per year, it's going to be a struggle for the first while because you don't really understand, the processes, how to win, how to lose, how to follow up with people, how to provide alignment calls and feedback and things like that. Whereas if you can get in with an organization early that you're having so many transactions, like I'm talking like 100 deals a year, you will learn so much quicker what being a true sales professional is about. Right. And so my advice is for people coming in is, obviously like be a student of learning in terms of sales. There are so many tremendous podcasts, sales books, YouTube channels, whatever you may need out there for you. And it's not enough just to go in and take the corporate training of the organization that's hired you, right? Like you have to learn on the side as well. But you're doing yourself a disservice. As much as it might be a fancy, like really big title for you early on in your career, if you don't start off with those transactional type of sales, and I look back at all my friends that are just, killing it out in the sales world, they all started in, selling credit cards or selling copiers, like very high transaction sales jobs that allow them to hone their skills in very, very quickly throughout many different sales cycles. And I think that's the key.
And I think that's great advice to kind of like, because I remember some of the boys like selling Canadian Tire credit cards and being like Richie, and I don't know if you did, but like selling photocopiers and different things like that. And there's a bunch of different industries, right? And I think sales are sales no matter what. It's more about building relationships and being there for people, right? And always have it and having your best intentions when it comes to selling to people. I think that's why I love business so much, is that you're able to build relationships on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, you might be selling a product, but building relationships, and a lot of my customers now have become really good friends. So it's really cool to be able to create friendships with people, but also meet new people on a day-to-day basis. And I think when you kind of think about that, it's so special. And being Tom Blake used to always say it as well, right? Get out of your own head and be interested instead of being interesting, right? And really caring about people and really caring about the product, believing in yourself that you're doing really great things. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about like like ever since I've known you, you've always been so positive and motivated, and whatever you do, you always did it with a smile on your face, and you tried your best. And like you said earlier, you always give 100% effort at whatever you do, and even if you learned that a little bit earlier in your career, but it's something I think you've always had throughout your whole life, I would say. And um, like I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what always kind of with sales. There's always ups and downs. I feel like there's high times, there's slow times, but what helps you stay like resilient and motivated through like tough times?
Yeah, it's such a good question, both for the business setting and also for life, right?
Mhm.
I think a couple things. I come back to the root of it, like, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but we really can only control what we can control,
Mhm.
right? If you can look yourself in the mirror and say, listen, I gave myself 100% effort this week and things just didn't go my way, right? It's going to happen, right? We're not always going to win. right? And that's sort of the key, right? Is learning how to lose and how to get better. There's a senior VP of an organization that is very, very clear every time she says this. She says, did we win or did we learn? Right. And that's really stuck with me is, hey, on the times when we feel like we're not winning, like what did we learn from it? What can we gain to make sure that we come and put a better foot forward next time? But, I think, I think it's, if you bring it back to the word perspective, I mean, without getting too deep here, like there's people in this world, that can't get a glass of water, right? There's people in this world that sometimes walk outside their front door. They don't know if, they're going to get bombed that day. And I hate to get it that deep, but like we're so fortunate in the world that we live in right now, being in Canada. And I know we've got some stuff going on in our nation as well, whether it's political or whatever it may be, but like we get the opportunity to go and carve out the future that we want, really. Mm-hmm. Right. And so why not take that opportunity, right? Like why sit back and complain and worry about all this stuff? Like, again, there's people out there that don't even know if they're going to have food on their table today. It's crazy, right? Mm. So we have an opportunity. Let's seize it, right? Let's go after it. Let's get it done. Be positive. Try to have an impact on other people while you're doing it. But it's all about perspective to me. And I'm incredibly grateful, and I always feel very fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I think, there's been a lot of hard work to get here, but if you lose that sight of how grateful and how fortunate you are just to have the opportunity to work in certain organizations that this country offers us, you sort of lost sight of what's actually going on out there. So bit of a long-winded answer to say it really does come back to perspective, and you can only control what you can control.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And there's a quote that I always say, like, your perspective drives your performance, right? And if you have a positive perspective and a positive outlook, your performance will kind of follow. And what your VP says, like, you either win or you learn. And I think that's so true. Like they always say, it's only a mistake if you do it more than once. The first time is just a learning experience. And I think it's an evolution of trying to learn and trying to get better on a day-to-day basis. We wake up, we have air in our lungs, we got a heartbeat, we're alive another day. There's like you said, seize the moment and seize the opportunity to be the best version of yourselves for yourself, but for the people that you love as well. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your people, I guess. And I asked about this on every single podcast, and I think it's so monumental because the people that I asked to be on here, I think they're just good-hearted human beings, and they're just great people. And being a good person, you need to have good people around you. And I think, who are some of the people that has helped you to be where you are today, and some role models, whether it is professionally or in your personal life?
Yeah, and I think there's so many of them, right? I think for me, it's hard to pick, just one person who's fully shaped me, right? And like, I think the very fortunate part for me about being in some large corporations is that I've had the chance to work with and work under some pretty significant leaders, right? That truly want the best out of their people, and they're willing to push and drive them. But outside of the corporate world, I mean, guys like yourself, right, who just have this tremendous perspective on life, and look what you've done with the brand and everything that you're portraying across people. And it's really special to see. And I remember you came to me, actually, I think it was my third year, your second year. You're like, I'm starting a clothing company. And I'm like, interesting. What's going on? And you showed me the brand. You told me about Positive Inception. You had this little seed and everything. And just to see what, you've been able to do with it. And I think, right, like, listen, the root of it all is your work ethic, right? And then the other little intangibles is how you speak to people, how you articulate, how you make people better every single day, right? Like, that's such a key piece, because the brand is one thing. Like, I'll be candid with you. I can go buy a sweater anywhere, right? That's going to probably feel the same and look very similar. But what you've done with the brand specifically is inspiring, right? Like, it's people come to you and your brand and your clothing, probably not as much for your clothing, but more so for you, right? Which I think is pretty special. So people like yourself, like my closest friends, like the Kyle Ritchies, the Alex Fullers, Adam Johnsons, Alex Hasteds, all those guys, right? That, again, I think when you surround yourself with good people, it's hard to let yourself fail, right? When you see your closest friends and your closest people around you pushing every single day to get better, I think just inherently, whether you notice it or not, like you're going to do the same thing, right? So I think it's such a combination of so many people. I wish I could give you sort of one specific person or role model, but I don't think it exists for me. I think it's taking as many positive things from every single person that's impacted and shaped my life that you try to steal shamelessly from every single one of them and make yourself a better person.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I try to do the same thing with all my buddies. There's always like good qualities that I try to take and help me shape me who I am today, right? And I every time I ask this question, I was like, it's a good question, but it's not a fair question because it takes a village to create a good person, right? And there's a list of hundreds of people that you can mention that has had a positive impact, and it just goes to show like all the people that has helped you get to where you are today, right? Which is pretty special, and as you're growing up. Now you're in a different role of your life too, right? And building a life with Britt and being a father. And I wanted to kind of ask, like, what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned to being a father, and how has it helped you in your day to day life? Like I see you with Tucker like a little bit on, but it's so cool to kind of to see him grow. Like you said, he's 2 years old, and it's so special. And like the thought of you being a father is like, I think that's the best thing. I think you were meant to be a dad, right, with another one on the way, and you being a role model for both your kids. It's gonna be truly remarkable, I think.
Yeah, it's certainly a special feeling, a special opportunity. Understanding that not everybody gets the chance, right, to necessarily have kids and build a family. So super grateful to obviously have a chance to build this out with Britt, my wife. And I think there's a couple things, right? It's first off, and I'll give Alex Fuller his third plug, but he said when Tucker was born, it's the greatest joy you'll ever experience. And I think, it probably couldn't have been said better than that, because it truly is, right? There's obviously some difficult times, right, throughout, newborn stage and things like that, but the good far outweighs the bad, right?
Mhm.
And so a couple things I've learned, and it's sort of remolded and shaped, especially in my corporate life, is you're not going to get the time back. And it's funny, I was talking with one of my sales managers a couple weeks ago about how I used to, I would love to get up early and get a whole bunch of stuff done before my day started. And I'm talking to 100 people a day, right? I'd like to jump on the computer at 7, get all of that quiet time out of the way and get organized and make sure I'm good to go for the day. And I'm not going to get that time back with Tucker now, right? So I need to make sure that, I'm spending that quality time with him in the mornings. Like it's super fun to, he loves oatmeal right now. Even just a simple thing of making his oatmeal bowl together with him. Like those are the special moments you're not going to get back. So it's super important to make sure you're present and spending the time with your kids. But on the flip side as well, it's also driven me to try to take this thing as far as I possibly can from a corporate and career perspective, because it's one thing to provide for yourself and provide for your wife and the rest of your family, things like that. But when you have kids, there's nothing I want more than to provide him the life and every opportunity that I possibly can to make sure that he wants to be successful when he's older too. So I think it's a bit of a catch-22 where you want to spend more time with them and less time working in those moments where, you have the chance to spend with your kids, but at the same time, making sure you deliver and do everything you can to be successful for them. So it's been tremendous. We had a tough go the first 6 or 8 months. He wasn't great at sleeping, but the little guy, I think he slept until late this morning. So we're over that hump.
Well, there you go. It always gets better, right? And I think you can do both. I think you can still spend a bunch of time, but you can, and then when you do have time to work, okay, it's time to buckle down and try to be more efficient and try to be more productive in shorter period of time because you want to spend more time. And it's just about kind of learning how to do the work life balance, right? And before Tucker, you were probably a little bit more work, right? And now it's a little bit flip flop, right? And I think it's just time management, and I think a lot of the times, and whenever I do ask a question about parenthood, I think a lot of that is about time management and being able to be present and a good father figure and a good role model, but also trying to be as successful as possible with work. And I think just trying to do your best at both positions. I think that's all you can do, right? And always to kind of maintain that energy no matter what you can do. And I think having a positive mindset and being the person that you are, I think just to try to do your best and try to get a little bit better on a day-to-day basis and be present for wherever you are, right? Be present as a dad with Tucker or as a husband or a friend or being present as a director role for the people around you and building that culture and that environment and being able to bring that positivity to your work environment as well. And I with the whole podcast, I kind of always ask about maintaining the positive energy and maintaining that attitude of trying to get better and better every day. And is there some tips and tricks that you use for your mindset of how you're able to be have that source of positivity, that good energy, and being able to create a good environment for others?
Yeah, I think it sort of comes back to what I was saying earlier with perspective, right? I mean, if we come back to, and we'll talk about the corporate world, like, listen, we lost a deal, right? It sucks. Nobody likes it. Obviously, there's financial impact there, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I hate to use this cliche, but nobody's hurt, nobody died, right? Like, what can we learn from that? And that's sort of the idea of how I typically just run my life too. It's like, hey, listen, like, what truly matters, right? Health matters, happiness matters, friendship, family, all of that stuff is super important. Now, the other, like the financial piece and the work, that's all super important, right? But if you're worried and sitting there continually worrying about the uncontrollables and things that you simply just have no control over, it's never going to do you any good, right? So I think there's so many books, there's so many podcasts. I think my dad always said, like, bad company corrupts good character, which is an interesting statement. And so if you're continually filling yourself with, good things like the Positive Inception podcast or other podcasts or motivational speakers and things like that, right? Like, I think inherently you will just continue to stay on that positive track. And don't get me wrong, listen, I have tough days, right? There's days where you get out of bed and you're like, listen, I don't really want to do this today, right? And it's just finding a way to understand why you're doing it and then pushing past it. Because there's going to be, in life and in career and corporate world and whatever you're into, like, there's going to be really, really good days. There's going to be really, really bad days. The key is, how do you stay as even keel as possible and, make sure that you're on that positive trend going forward.
I love that. I think it's trying to be that even keel, right? And trying to be the best version of yourself. And I think to kind of wrap it up, there's one question that I always love to ask. And it's about, because you do this on a day-to-day basis, you chase your dreams. And what is some advice to maybe a younger generation of what advice would you give to someone that are chasing their dreams, no matter how big or how small it could be, because you've been able to realize so many of yours?
Yeah, I think, and I wrote this down when I was reviewing some of the questions that you're going to ask me. I think the only time that dreams don't come true is when someone gives up on them.
Yeah.
Right? It's the only time. So whether you're chasing something, financially, if you're chasing some sort of freedom, some sort of happiness, whatever it may be, like, part of getting to that goal or dream, or whatever it is, like, the journey is so fun to get there, right? Like, sometimes you look back and I'm guilty of this, where you set this crazy goal or this dream or whatever you want to call it for yourself, and you get there and you're like, oh, I actually kind of enjoyed the journey getting here more than I enjoyed the dream or the goal itself, right? And that's why we continually need to understand, what our goals are, what our dreams are. I think if you ask anybody who's quote unquote achieved their dreams, they probably want something new and exciting even still, right? So I think the only time that people don't achieve their goals and their dreams is when they give up on them. That's the only time. Because even if it's going to take you a lifetime to get there, the journey is the most important piece.
that gives me goosebumps, especially when it comes from you, you know. And I think it's so true. It's not about the end goal. It's about the destination and the process of getting there. And it's not about it's not about getting there. It's about becoming, right, and becoming what you want to do, and achieving what you want to achieve, but enjoying with the people that enjoying it with the people that are around you, and enjoying the whole process of it, right? And I think it's so true. When the only time you lose if you give up or you don't try, right? Because if you do try, it can turn out better than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean we can't pivot halfway through our journey, right? Like if your dreams change or your goals change, that's fine, right? That's going to happen as life progresses and different priorities come up. But I think it's just whatever that dream is as long as you're still striving towards it and you're still on that journey, then all is good.
No, and that's amazing. And I think it's so true, right? When you say sometimes your dreams might change, and it gives you a different turn in life, the unexpected curveball. But sometimes a redirection is good because it gives you a different a different path for something bigger and better, right? Sometimes everything happens for a reason to some extent. We might not know it at the time. We might think it's unfortunate or it sucks or this and that, but it's just a redirection into something bigger and better.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
This was perfect. I can Ben, I can ask for anything better. And you're only gracious giving me an hour of your time. I know you're a busy guy, but this was amazing, and something something I truly cherish. So thank you, Mike. Thank you for taking the time, um, and, uh, and thank you more importantly for being who you are and for helping me um, helping me throughout my whole life since university. And you're such a truly special person in my life and a special friend. So I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, likewise, man. Feelings mutual. Super proud of you and what you've done. And, I think this is still just the tip of the iceberg for you. I'm super excited to see where you continue to take the brand, and you got your own house now just right around the corner, which is awesome. But, incredibly honored and privileged to be asked to be on the podcast. And, I'm excited to see where you take things. But again, don't stop, man. It's all about the journey. Proud of you.
And I really hope we can meet. I know it's hard because we live in different cities, but we gotta catch up soon and meet in person for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it.